We're here at Blighty on a dairy farm with Lachlan Marshall, who runs the farm with his brother and his wife. And there's some very special things we want you to listen to in this. Tell us about the history and how you came to be where you are now, mate.
Yeah, we moved here in 2006 from southeast Queensland. We moved down here because of the feed security that water bought this region. Land was affordable for a couple of young blokes to set up an operation and sort of strive out on our own. I'm a fourth generation dairy farmer. We moved down here and we began grazing cows and doing the seasonal grass-fed system, but very quickly as effects of the drought moved in, and then followed by the Murray-Darling Basin plan, we saw the reliability on our water yield drop from 87% to the low 50s, and it became very expensive to grow feed.
87% means that in 87% of the time you'll get your allocation.
Yes.
Now it's half the time.
Yes. So imagine you've got to run your car from here back to Canberra, but I'm only going to give you half a tank of fuel to do it, and you still got to get to Canberra, otherwise I'm going to take your job off you.
We don't particularly want to go back to Canberra.
I wouldn't either. So it was a real, we saw it as a huge hurdle that could end our dairying aspirations in this region. And
you've done research all over the world. You go overseas quite a bit.
Yep.
You bring a researcher in. What do you call him?
Our nutritionist.
4 times a year he comes here. You Skype a lot with him.
Yep.
You're connecting with people all over the world.
Absolutely.
So you've done a hell of a lot of research, and you had to change your plans because of what you found with the water.
Yeah. So our business is built on science. We don't make a move unless we can find scientific data that backs up a decision that we're looking to make. We came up with this system which has allowed us to grow twice as much fodder with half the water. So what that did was we saw the basin plan coming in implementation, what was going to happen, and we made a decision to move to this system to get ahead of the impacts of the basin plan and make ourselves even more efficient.
So you're now a cropper, but everything you grow, you harvest here and you process it here to feed your cattle.
That's exactly right. We grow cereal crops now in the winter time, and we grow maize in the summertime because it's the most efficient user of water, corn for silage, and we feed it all back to the cows. So what we're doing is we're taking that crop and we're value adding it by putting it back into our animals. So
you're basically value adding grain by making it into milk?
Yes, correct. That's the principle, and we use good science and research to found all of those practices on, and we use our local environment here, our natural environment, to benefit our animals. These cows don't produce milk unless they're happy and healthy and comfortable.
Sounds like Brad Fisher.
It's the exact same process. The exact same process that's involved. Our family's mantra has always been quality milk from contented cows, and has been for generations. And unless a cow's happy, healthy and content.
Pretty close to your heart, eh?
Very close to our heart. It's everything that our family has stood for a long, long time.
And your feed, what do you call this, feed area here?
Yep.
Is also got, just like Brad, has got sprays on it to keep the cows cool.
Yep, sprays in here to keep the cows cool, which all come on a thermostat to make sure that cows are never hot. The cows all have a collar around their neck, which monitors their movement, their temperature, and their rumination. So how much they're chewing.
And you can tell you can tell through your wife's computer connections with that sends back every 15 seconds?
Every 15 seconds, that's downloaded back.
Every cow?
Every single cow, all 900 of them. And we can tell if that cow's temperature drops, her movement drops, and her rumination drops. We know that there's something not right with that cow. She's unwell. So
before you can actually pick it up as an experienced farmer, before you can actually pick it up, this will tell you?
This system tells us, and what we're able to do is treat the cow proactively with the cow version of a Panadol, say, rather than have to wait until she's sick and really unwell and then have to use antibiotics and drugs to treat an ailment.
And you can tell when the cow's coming into calve and all the rest of it.
Yeah, or when cows are on estrus, we can tell by their movements through the predominant. We can tell by how efficient our ration is that we're feeding the cows by the rumination. So effectively the computer system is watching the health and well-being of our cows 24/7. Yeah.
And tell us about the importance of the environment to you and how the environment actually helps you and you help the environment.
Any farmer anywhere in agriculture worth his salt knows that you can't work against your environment, that you have to work with your environment. Agriculture is the environment and farming working together in harmony. I can't fight my environment, I have to work with it. We need each other to prosper. Yep. And my on-farm environment is critical to the success of this business. If I don't look after my animals, my soils, my trees, my native vegetation and wildlife, my natural environment suffers and the productivity in my land decreases. We are all about handing our farms on in a better position than when we took them on. And it's a continual learning experience for all of us in agriculture. We've become more efficient with our water. We've become more efficient with using byproducts from our own system. So in our instance, we put a lot of manure and organic fertilisers back into our soils to improve the soil health and encourage worms.
You use every bit of the food, the fodder you make?
Absolutely. We have zero waste in our system here. All the feed, if the cows don't eat this feed, it's picked up and fed back to other animals, and if it's not used there, it goes into fertiliser for compost and goes back into the system. So our business is built on recycling and reusing all of the byproducts from the operation of milking cows. And you can come out here on sunset and walk into a corn crop, and the birds and the frogs and
you can hear them during the day, mate.
Absolutely, it's amazing. And what's really, really sad is because water has left this district, we've seen a drop in native vegetation and native animals on farm. So in layman's terms, wildlife has left the landscape because the water has been taken away.
Because the bureaucrats have removed the water.
Absolutely, and they don't view on-farm environment as a natural environment, which it is. You know, I have every species of native flora and fauna that lives along the river system lives on farm here and is important to us.
From what we can work out, the so-called environmental water is not based on science. The quantities are not based on measured data. So you're actually showing the way in how to look after the environment. You're actually showing the way in how to manage an environment, manage a business. And the Murray-Darling Basin Authority is not doing that. I think we need to, I'd love your views on this, Lachlan. I think we need to make sure that environmental water is no longer separated from farm water. Maybe some specific instances, but generally your farm water is environment water. Your conveyancing losses is environment water.
100%.
And so many other things, they're all the same. And you know, one of the things is everyone knows, well, I think everyone knows, that in Australia we have long droughts periodically, and they're cyclical. And in a drought, rivers don't have water in them. And yet we've got water just flowing down the channel, flowing down the Murray River, down the Murrumbidgee River, and it's a drought. It doesn't make sense. This goes against science.
It's an absolute travesty of justice. It's Mother Nature behaving in a way that is incredibly unnatural.
Well, Mother Nature's not
but that river system is being abused.
Yes.
Is being absolutely abused. There are outcomes here that benefit all states along the river system, including South Australia. There are outcomes here that benefit both the environment and productive agriculture, and there are simple outcomes here that benefit the economy and local communities. And what it takes is good leadership, good science, and clear heads to sit down at a table.
And integrity.
That's a big word.
Well, honesty will do. That's a shorter word.
That's a shorter word, but integrity is hard to come by when we start to get into these waters.
And you know, you're mates with Brad.
I am.
Down at the Southern Lakes, and
incredible dairy farmer.
What he said. He's a very, very effective dairy farmer, but he understands the plight of what's happening up here. He also understands, as Jennifer Game does in our One Nation in South Australia, that with sensible adjustments to the water, South Australia will have more water for agriculture. New South Wales and Victorian farmers will have more water for their agriculture, and South Australia will benefit with more jobs and more agricultural production and revenue.
And I think that's critical.
Yeah.
I think that's critical that we find a win for everybody along the system, and I think that we use science, technology, engineering to find better solutions to improve outcomes. You know, that's the way of the world moving forward. Our business is built built on finding a pathway that benefits environment and agriculture. We need to find those simple solutions that work for everybody and implement them and move forward. And there's no point moving backwards or arguing about the past. I think you look at the success of operations like the Fishers down there and how they've been able to work with their natural environment to build such an incredibly successful business. There's lessons to be learnt there by everybody, and let's take those lessons and let's implement them for outcomes that are beneficial for everybody and then don't impede anybody, including the environment.
And as I said to Michael McCormack last week with the convoy, when the convoy was in Canberra, we will work with anyone providing they base their position on facts. We want honesty and we want facts, and that comes with data.
Absolutely, it does. Good science, good science. We need science to come to the fore again. We seem to have eroded the value of independent peer-reviewed science with this plan. We need to have that restored, because it should be the basis of all good decisions moving forward. And unfortunately, it was corrupted and misused and abused. And we've seen the validity of it go out the window. We need to have that restored.
Facts, restored to nature, and also science. And above all, honesty.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.